Showcase the house.
Generate buyers.
Generate buyers.
Showcase the house.
Showcase the house.
Get buyers.
Get buyers. Get buyers.
Same thing.
You think you might get a seller at an open house?
Oh,
You could.
In my case, I love this house, like if I'm a buyer.
You could.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'd get a seller. You could get what we call a twofer. Anyone know what that might mean?
Someone that's buying and selling.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. What if you did an open house? Somebody came through. They love this house, but they have to sell their house in order to buy it. Now you might have both a listing and a buyer. That'd be nice, huh? Yeah. So our purpose, the reason the way you are personally benefiting from this is the leads that you're going to get from doing the open house. Yeah, it might benefit the listing agent too, right? Maybe it would help get their house sold. Maybe it would help them, their seller feel like they're doing a good job. You know what I mean? So it could benefit that listing agent as well. But primarily, you're doing this for you, right? We want you to get some clients out of this, some potential leads out of this, you know? Yeah. Hi, come on in. Shoe covers or no shoes, whatever you prefer. So we're doing it for that purpose. Okay, so thinking about that then, if you haven't done an open house before, just guess. I think most people here haven't done one yet, or maybe just one. What do you think the type of person is who comes to an open house? Like, where are they in their buying process, do you think?
Most of them are looking because they have family. I see them.
You see people with family, okay?
Because also when I visit open houses,
Yeah,
I see a
okay.
lot with kids.
Yeah, where do you think they are in their process? I mean,
It could be early, it could be they're ready.
yeah, it could be early, it could be they're ready. Any other thoughts on that? Yeah, I think you're going to see a range, but more often than not, the people who come to an open house are probably not already pre-approved. They might not have really a clear idea of how much money they need for a down payment. They might not be, like ready to buy now. It's kind of, a lot of times it's something they're thinking about it, right? They know they want to buy a house. They haven't talked to a lender yet. They haven't talked to a real estate agent yet. They're just kind of checking houses out. Like you may have done that if you bought a house. You may have done that when you bought a house. Just go and look at some. And the reason you need to know that is just to set the expectation that those people who come in the door, maybe they're ready to buy a house now. Maybe it's not for 6 months. Maybe it's not for 2 years. It could be a whole range. And so what that means for us as real estate agents is one of the most important things about doing an open house is your follow-up afterward. Okay? Because that's where I see most agents not feeling like open houses work. Is because what happens is they might be doing an open house and maybe they do a wonderful open house and people come to it and they call them once or twice and then that person never answers the phone and they must not be interested and they move on. They just wasted 2 hours. Right? Seriously, because the people that come to this open house, if they're 6 months out, they're just not ready yet. Right? So a successful open house is not only about that day, it's about the follow-up that happens afterward. Okay, so a couple of big themes we're gonna have here today is in doing an open house well. One of them is, think long-term, that it's not like a quick thing. I don't do it that day, get a buyer, and I'm ready to go. Like sometimes that happens, but more often than not, it might be longer, right? Another thing to think about with an open house is we wanna make sure that listing agent is happy with us. Why do I want that listing agent to be happy with me?
So should you give us more?
More open houses.
Yeah.
Exactly. What if you did an open house and you accidentally left the door unlocked? Okay, it's happened.
Yeah.
Okay? Imagine that scenario, like that listing agent got yelled at by the seller. Okay? They're not gonna be happy with you. Right? They might tell other listing agents, don't use Kirsten, she left my front door unlocked, right? So it's just like that whole I'm glad you're setting that up. Thank you. That whole thing is so important just so you get future business. Because what if you do a great job? What do you think is going to happen?
More business.
more business, right? That listing agent is just gonna start calling you, hey, I have another open house coming up on Saturday, do you want it? Right? Instead of you having to find an open house, now all of a sudden, they're just reaching out to you to ask you to do one, right? So that's really what we want, is you're gonna spend probably 2 hours there, maybe 3. You have all this time you're setting up, all this time you're preparing, like let's get the most out of that time as you can, like to benefit you, either by the following up with the leads or your next open house with an agent, right? All right, so open house, we, how to find an open house, right? A couple different ways you can do it. The one way that most agents do it is just wait for somebody to ask them. I don't think that's the best way to rely on, but that's one way to do it, is you will see emails that come across. You know, there's like that KWC email list. You might see somebody asking for somebody to host an open house there. On the Facebook page, you might see somebody asking to have an open house. If you go to the team meeting, you might talk to a listing agent and they might ask you. So that's good, like that's not a bad thing. Actually, sometimes agents call me and say, I need somebody to do an open house at this address this weekend, who you got, right? And I'll connect them. So that is a fine way to do it. It's just not reliable, right, to always get an open house, and you might not get the very best open house. So the better way to do it is on Monday. Okay, Monday's the best day to do this. Tuesday's second best, but Monday's a good day. You go into Bright, look at the active listings in an area where you would like to have a buyer. Find an active listing that looks like a really nice house, the photos look nice, it's not been on the market for very long, newly on market is very important, it's in an area where you would like to have a buyer, you like the price point, okay? If you have all of those things there, then what you do is you call that listing agent and say, can I do an open house at your listing at 123 Main Street this weekend? That's it. And you'll probably call maybe 5 agents before you find one, okay? Because sometimes there's good reasons why someone might not want you to do an open house. Sometimes the seller doesn't want an open house. Sometimes that agent is already doing the open house themselves, and that's completely legit. It's their listing. They might want all those buyers for themselves, okay? Totally fine. They might tell you that they have 16 offers already and it's about to go under contract, and so they're not gonna do an open house. So there's really good reasons, but if you call about 5, you'll find one. You know, and be picky, right? The problem with just waiting for somebody to ask us is then we're kind of taking whatever's there. If you're a little bit picky, you're just gonna get a better open house that's gonna benefit you more, you know? A couple of months ago, one of our agents did his very first open house by himself. I just told Marla about this story yesterday. You're gonna hear a repeat. He had shadowed somebody, but he had never done one by himself. I don't even think he prepared that well, just from talking to him. But guess what happened? It was a $1.6 million listing. Somebody came to the open house that was a neighbor, wanted to buy the house. It took a couple weeks because we weren't at the same price, but he and I worked through it. We just kept things going, kept it alive, kept negotiating, and he has already closed. Like cash buyer, no inspections. It was a little bit of a reduction in price. He had to give up a little bit of commission, but he got a pretty good payday for that couple of hours he spent at an open house, you know, and it was a very easy transaction just because no inspections, no financing, you know. Like, so stuff like that does happen. More likely, it's gonna be something like you meet somebody, in a few months they connect with a lender, you know, it's more likely a long drawn out process. But if you follow up, you're gonna get clients, you know. So anyway, all that to say, yeah.
So you said follow up. How often do you follow up? Like you said, they go far out in 6 months. So
here's my general rule of follow up. So when I do an open house, my follow up afterward is for 2 years. And in the beginning, in the first 10 days, you're going to reach out 5 times to try to connect. Now, if they answer the phone, I don't keep calling them. I'm not gonna call them 5 times if they've answered.
Can you say that one more time?
5 times in the first 10 days.
they won't get annoyed.
They may. But we want them to answer like, in other words, we have to take that risk, okay? Because the alternative is to not follow up, right? And lose them. One of the keys about following up, though, is that when I follow up, I should do so in a way where I'm providing something that would be of value to them. I'm not just calling and saying, you know, are you ready to buy a house, right? So as much as possible, I provide value. So in the beginning, my first thing is, hey, thanks for coming to my open house today, because I'm calling, I just finished the open house and got in my car. Maybe I text them, hey, thanks for stopping by the open house at 123 Main Street today. What did you think about the house? Okay, that's a really good way to follow up because people love to be asked their opinion. So they'll probably reply to you. Maybe you call them and ask that question, you know? And so if you, let's say you called them, you did an open house on Saturday afternoon you called them, it went to voicemail, you leave a voicemail. Then maybe on Monday you send a text, right? And in the beginning, an easy question is, what did you think about the house? But then I might have some other information from the conversation I had in meeting with them, right? Because when they came in the house, I talked to them, so I know something about them, right? So maybe my next question is, hey, I know you were thinking about that you really liked area, blah, 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 whatever, this neighborhood. I noticed that there's a house coming up for sale there, you know, that's coming soon. It's going to be available on this date. You know, so I want to always be providing something that they would find interesting or valuable. And if you do that, you're more likely to have them respond to you, you know. Yeah.
And then, like multiple people coming in, how do you remember what you talked to one person?
I will
You write
never
it down?
remember. Honestly, like you're gonna see. I write stuff down all the time. I do not remember.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do keep like a little notepad and I write things down.
Yeah, because two family comes out, you don't know what
No,
you said
you
to
gotta
this
take
one,
notes.
what you
You're
said
gonna take really shorthand, messy notes.
It's good to put like descriptive things, man and woman, blue shirt, hat dog.
Yeah.
Something that's gonna pop on.
Yeah.
I remember that, what they talked about when they went flying to Paris or
Yep.
something.
And his lady worked at whatever. Yeah, 100%.
And you also put those notes in command too.
Yeah.
at that time, so you don't forget.
So you don't forget.
Right now,
So you don't forget.
Your notes. Yep.
As soon as a tour in the house, you just write it down, right?
Yes. Well, so if you're at an open house, as people are coming in, you're taking notes as best you can. Sometimes you're gonna have a crazy open house. You're not gonna be able to do it. You're just gonna do your best. You know, but some you just do your best. You know, that's all you can do. And then after that first 10 days, then I'm probably gonna go to weekly, and then I might go to bi-weekly, and then I might go to monthly, and then eventually quarterly. You know, so I'm following up less and less often. If they're not answering the phone, it's less and less often. But let's say I connect with them. Okay, so let's say that in the week after the open house, we talk and we have a conversation. All right, then my follow-up is going to depend on how quickly they're buying a house. Right, so if somebody's pretty much doing it now, I'm talking to them every week. If they're not till next year, it might be every month. You know, so every person will have a different follow-up plan. Okay, but you use SMART plans for this in Command. If you don't know how to use Command yet, which you might not if you're new, how would you, right? It takes a while to learn, but not terribly long. Like you can start getting really good stuff out of it in a little bit, and then there's more features and more features and more features. I'm not going to remember because I'm not going to be at my computer for many, many hours, but if you text or email me, I can send you an email that has different ways to learn Command. Okay, but I won't remember, so don't tell me. I will absolutely 100% forget. Busy day today. Okay, so everybody, gosh, I lost my place. Where was I going?
The follow-up.
No, before before we got to follow-up.
Notes? The notes.
It's crazy what people do.
Yeah, I was saying something
Smart
before that I
notes.
wanted to talk about, but now I'm blanking on it. All right, hopefully it'll come back to me. All right, so we schedule on Monday. We call around to agents. Maybe by Tuesday we've got an open house scheduled, right? And then from that Tuesday until the weekend, whenever your open house is, you're doing some things to prepare. Okay. So one thing you're going to do is create a flyer. So this is just a printout from Brigham MLS, but you can create a flyer. There are KW templates in Canva. You can connect with one of our partner lenders. A lot of times they'll create a flyer for you that's co-branded. And that actually can be really useful because then they can have financial information on it.
Who were the lenders?
All of our lenders, if you need a list of their names, send me a text or email and I can send it to you. But you can meet them by coming to our Friday sessions. We just had one yesterday.
Oh,
So every Friday I have a different vendor partner and you know, it might be a different type of person, but every Friday. So yesterday was a lender. You can see all the recordings in our coaching community. Or send me an email, I can send you all their contact info.
Is that in person or was it on Zoom?
All of our classes are on Zoom, except for the field trips. Yeah. So then, so I want a flyer, okay? I also want to print out the property tax information. That's really helpful to have with you. They have a whole stack of them. You don't need necessarily a whole stack. You just might need one because somebody's going to ask you, you know, how many square feet this house is, and you're not going to remember. Good to have that handy, so then you can just look and see. Because when I trust your memory, have it on a piece of paper. You're going to want to post it to your own social media, right? So maybe you're going to post a couple times during that week. Maybe you would reach out to anybody that you know who's a buyer and invite them to come. Maybe you invite your student to come stop by your open house. You know, so you could use a smart plan if you wanted to kind of ramp up some, you know, interest in that. I recommend door knocking in the neighborhood. I usually do that the day before, sometimes the morning of. In a neighborhood like this, where the houses are really far apart, I'm not going to be able to do as many. But if you were doing an open house in a townhouse community, you'd be able to go up to a lot of doors. You know, in a neighborhood where they're as far apart as this, I might instead send a postcard. You know, you'd have to do that really quick on one, you know, but it might get there in time. But even if it didn't, that's okay, because my purpose there is not to, whether they come to the open house or not, I'm trying to connect with a homeowner who's thinking of buying. Hi. Hey there. Yeah.
How far in advance of the show do you do the door?
Depends on my schedule and the weather, and you know. yeah, it could be. I often do it the day before,
Okay.
but that's not a rule. You know, it could be like I'm not going to do it when it's raining. So, you know, if it's 100 degrees, you know, I'm gonna do it around the weather. You know. But door knocking, what you do is just like it sounds. You knock on the door of all the neighbors, right? And all you're doing is inviting them to come to the open house. Okay, I've got a flyer in my hand, inviting them. Why am I doing that?
Potential buyers. It's okay, buyers. Potential
They could have
buyers.
friends.
Connection.
Something else. Nobody's got it yet.
So they can come over or let their family members know or
When you're also branding yourself too, like putting yourself out there.
Show people what?
Yeah, something else. I'm looking for a seller.
Oh, so if they want to list a house.
Yes.
I got you.
So if you are doing an open house and one of the neighbors attends that open house, there's a pretty good chance they're thinking of selling their house too. I've gotten listings doing this. All right, so those neighbors, if they're thinking, oh, I might want to sell my house later this year, they're going to want to come to this open house, see what the house looks like, see their competition, right? So what I would do, I door knock the neighborhood. I don't even talk to them about that at all, right? I'm not trying to be salesy. I'm just super friendly. You know, just, hey, I have an open house at your neighbor's house on Saturday from 1 to 3. Just wanted to invite you if you wanted to come by and see the house.
That's it.
That's it. Exactly. Almost nobody answers the door. Sometimes they're peeking at me through the blinds. So one way I combat that is I use a clipboard and I put like a flyer for my open house. I hold it this way, and that way they can kind of see who I am and why I'm knocking on the door before they even open it. So I feel like they're a little bit more likely to open the door if I do that. But if they might be home, right, or they might not answer, in which case I leave the flyer. You're not allowed to put it in the mailbox. It's just a federal law. It's against the law to leave things in the mailbox. So you're gonna put it just like the pizza places do, between the doorknob and the door, under a doormat, something like that.
You could do it that way.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So you just knock on some doors and do it. But this neighborhood would be really tough because it would take you a long time, you know. Yeah. But I can hit 75 houses in a neighborhood with houses close together, or yeah. Because nobody answers the door. So.
Right.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So door knocking is worth it. And if you're not going to door knock, it is also worth it to send a postcard. Okay, because somebody's thinking of selling. Somebody's thinking of selling. And you just never know, right? It doesn't take long.
So we can mail postcards?
You would mail them. You
Okay,
could
that's
mail
cool.
them. Yes.
Okay.
And can you get them from KW?
So there's many places you can do it. You can order them through Command. The design portion of Command is about to get changed, and so I'm hesitating to talk about it because I don't know exactly where we're going with this.
Yeah.
But you could also use Vistaprint. Like there's a lot of places that you can do it, and a lot of places will drop ship so that you just put the addresses in and they send it. You would get the address from Bright MLS. Okay, so Bright MLS, I can download all the addresses.
Oh, okay. That's what I was gonna ask you.
Exactly. Yeah.
The neighboring
You
addresses
can
you
download
need?
them in Bright MLS, yep, searching the property tax record. Yeah. So anyway, we want to door knock if you can. I think it's a really good idea to do. It'll just, you're spending this time, you might as well also get this out of it, right? Okay, then open house day. All right, before the open house, I'm gonna put up the signs. Most counties, you're not allowed to put them out until 5 p.m. on Friday. So probably there will be no consequence if you do it on Thursday, but there might be, so I'm gonna tell you what the law is. You wanna have a lot of open house signs, directional signs. Okay, sometimes you can borrow those at the market center, but everybody usually buys their own because then you have them. A great place to get them is Amazon. They do sell them at places like Home Depot and Lowe's, but they're more expensive and not as good. Yeah, and like smaller. I just like that. Amazon has some good ones. People also get custom ones that have their photo on them. You don't have to do that right away. You can start out with some cheap ones. Wait till you earn some commission before you start spending if you want. Good idea to have some though, and you want enough open house signs, lots of them. I would put them from any major road to wherever the house is. So depending on the situation there, I might need more or less because of that. If there's a busy road, I might have like 3 open house signs coming up to where they turn, I was gonna bring it, I forgot. I buy this stuff called surveyor's tape. Okay, you can get it on Amazon. It's not tape, it's not sticky at all. But if you can imagine, how surveyor has like a stake in the ground and there's like some pink like plastic stuff on it? That's what I buy. You buy it a roll for a few dollars and it will last you like 10 years. Like you don't, lasts a really long time. And what I personally do is I take a screwdriver and stick a hole in my open house sign, tie some of that stuff to it, and then when it's on a busy road, as cars drive by, it makes that ribbon stuff flap a little bit and just draws a little more attention.
So can you repeat that again? So if it's a Saturday, the open house, how soon can you put the signs? The day before?
Most counties have 5 p.m. Friday.
5 p.m. Friday.
Yes, is the earliest you're allowed to do it. Yeah.
In an area like this,
Yeah.
would you do like a lot of signs
I
or
would.
on Tucker, maybe like?
Yeah, from a major road, you got to get people here because some people will go to the open house because they saw it on Zillow. Other people will be out on Saturday about to go to the grocery store and see the sign and decide to stop by.
Yeah,
And so that's who that sign is for, is that person who wasn't planning on coming to the open house, saw the sign, like, oh, I guess I'll just stop by, right? I even have a big banner that I put on the house itself that I bought on Amazon. you know, there's a lot of things, and over time you'll just get more stuff. You know, at the beginning, just got some signs so you have something. So I need to have a flyer. I need to have signs. You're going to need this. In Maryland, the law is that when you do an open house, you must post this. You can email me if you want me to send you the link. I'm also going to post the link into the coaching portal. Okay. And I think I might have some extras in here actually. Anybody wants one? There's some in here. What you want to do, I love having mine. Let's see how many I have here. Anyway, I'll put it here after. At the end, you can take whatever I have in this folder. I don't care. But I'll post it on there, and then everybody can get it. And I suggest putting it in one of these little things you can buy at Staples, just because it's just a lot easier, you know, to not have to think about it. But I also, for me personally, I keep this in my car, and this is like documents I might need, like if I'm on a listing appointment. It's just extra copies of things. I keep some in here too, and so just they live in my car. If I ever forget, like I've got one, you know, because it's the law. You have to have that posted. You have to print it in color, and you're not allowed to modify it. That's the law. So you can't like add a logo to it or your name or anything like that. You just print it exactly as it is, and that's it. I need an open house sign-in sheet. Mine got a little crumbled. You don't need anything special. Google it, find one you like, print it out. Can't find one you like, email me, I'll send you that one. Doesn't matter, you can do whatever you want. I personally don't have the question on there asking if they already have a realtor. And the reason I don't have that question on there is I'm going to find that in conversation rather than having it on that sheet, because if I have it on that sheet, they're probably just going to check yes whether or not they do. So that's my reason. But I'll find it out in conversation with them. If someone has a realtor, you are not allowed to call them at all. You're not even allowed to text them and ask them how they like the house. You're not allowed to text them and thank them for coming. Nothing.
Just let the book.
No communication at all if they have an agent already. Okay. A good way to ask that is, did you sign something already with a real estate agent? Because people don't necessarily understand what does have an agent mean. Like if you ask somebody that question, they might think, oh, well, my cousin's a realtor. You know what I mean? So they kind of know a realtor, but that doesn't mean they have a realtor. They didn't sign something. Okay.
So with your follow-up, since you don't have that question, do they just tell you, like?
I usually get into a conversation while they're there in the house. You know what I mean? So, like, and they almost always volunteer it right away because their real estate agent has coached them to do that. Yeah. So in the house, I usually find out, and then I'll on the sign-in sheet just put like little asterisks next to them, just so I remember that they already have an agent.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But you'll find it out. So I have my sign-in sheet. I like to have clipboards. I bought packs of 6 of those clipboards. I buy a lot of them. Because then what I do in my open house is I might have several clipboards that people can use so that if more than one person comes in at a time, they're not waiting for somebody else to fill it out. You can do a sign-in sheet electronically. I put instructions on how to do that in the coaching portal so you can see how to do it. It's really easy. If you want to bring an iPad or a laptop, that totally is fine. I never rely only on that. I'm also always going to bring paper because I may not have good cell service and then the electronic thing is not going to work. But also, if I have 5 people showing up at once, they're not going to want to wait to sign in. And so I'll just have one person doing the electronic one and hand somebody else a clipboard. Yeah.
Do you need internet service for that sign-up sheet?
You would need some kind of cell service.
Okay.
Yeah, you would need something like that. So, yeah.
Even if you did like just a plain Excel sheet?
Well, the electronic one that I'm talking about
It's like
is
the
one where it
QR code.
automatically puts them in your command. So it's like there's a really fancy one, and the instructions are in the coaching community for how to do it.
What's it called?
Just if you look in our open house resources, you'll find it. There's not that many things there. Yeah, open house sign. I don't know whatever it's called, something like that.
Is that the same as QR code or
No. A QR code is one of those little things with all the dots. This is an electronic sign. Yeah, you'll see it when you go through that. So we need some place to sign in. We want to get their contact info, right? I bring pens with me. I bring business cards with me. Okay. I bring other stuff. Like my bag that I didn't bring today has in it Clorox wipes, you know, paper towels,
Toilet
tissues.
Yes.
Yeah, I have tissues
big
in there
one.
because sometimes it's a big house, there's no
Those
toilet
tissues.
paper. I have socks in there because I don't like wearing booties, and sometimes I'm not wearing socks, you know. I have just all kinds of stuff in there. Like if I needed it at one, hand sanitizer. I have just stuff in there. And if you have a bag where you just keep all your open house stuff, then you're not trying to figure it out every time. It's just, here's my bag, you know. I just need my flyers for that day. There are some resources in the coaching community. I just printed out one with me, but one of the resources that's in there is a checklist of things to bring with you. So if you go into the coaching community, go to the open house channel on the left side, there's a checklist in there of stuff to bring. So you don't have to remember it all. Okay, let's see if I'm forgetting anything. Yeah, so here's on my checklist that you can print. This is right on the coaching community for you to print out. Right, sign-in sheet or the app, I would say both. Flyers, how many should you bring? Depends on the house, like what many people you expect. I expect a lot in a hot neighborhood. And how do I know it's hot? I'm gonna look and use right MLS. What's around there? Do I have a lot of active listings? It's not hot. Right? There's a lot of houses that are for sale around here. What if I look and there's no active listings and a whole bunch of pendings? Okay, I'm excited, right? Because stuff's selling fast. Or there's one active listing and 6 pendings. I love that. You know, so that's how I can kind of tell. You know, see what the neighborhood is doing a little bit. So maybe I'm going to print out 10. Maybe I'm going to print out 20. You know, it's kind of up to you. But here's the thing: if you run out, you're going to say, you're going to keep your last one and say, hey, I ran out of flyers. I'm going to text you this. And then you've got their cell phone number, you're going to text it to them afterward. Right? Now, here's a good reason for you to contact them. A notebook for feedback. So I'm keeping a notebook with me, like we talked about, to write things down. Pen and backup pens, directional signs, business cards, water and snack. I order here today. Smart extras, hand sanitizer, shoe covers, trash bag, door stop if you need one. Keep your phone charged and accessible. Let somebody know where you are. Okay, so I've prepared for my open house, right? I show up at my open house. If you're going to arrive earlier than the open house time, which you should, right? I do like a half hour early, something like that. We need to communicate that with the listing agent, okay? And this is part of that whole theme of keeping the seller happy, right? So if the house is vacant like this one, the seller's not gonna really have any idea of when you're getting there. But if they live there and you arrive an hour early, they might be mad, right? They're still like getting ready. They weren't expecting you, right? So that communication is super important because then the listing agent can be communicating with the seller about when you're gonna arrive for the open house, right? Even if it's vacant, I think it's still a good idea to you text the listing agent, I'll get there about a half hour early, right? When you arrive at the property, text the listing agent. Hey, I'm here getting set up now. I'm doing that because then the listing agent isn't worried about whether or not you're going to show up. You know, like if the listing agent hasn't worked with you before yet, they're in their mind wondering, are they going to show up today? You know, are they there? You know, so they've got that in the back of their mind. So if you are a half hour early and you text them, like, you know, then they're not worried about it. Like, and that's what it's all about. It's like making sure they feel like you're taking care of it, right? Okay, so you show up a half hour early. What I do when I get there is I go in the house and I lock the door behind me, and I go around the whole house and check things out. Okay, and the reason I lock the door behind me is people show up early for open houses. And one time I didn't do that, and somebody came in and I didn't realize they were in the house.
Oh wow.
You know, because I went upstairs, right, and
Yeah.
they came in. So you walk in, lock the door. Okay, I'm going to go upstairs in the basement, and I'm going to turn on lights. I'm going to open doors, open blinds. I'm going to shut the toilet seat. I'm just kind of if there's a mess, I'm just kind of trying to adjust things. I can't if it's a fine line because if there's personal possessions, not moving somebody's purse, You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do anything like that. So if there's personal possessions, I try not to mess with that. But I'll open blinds and make it, turn on the lights, make it, you know, visible. Any questions you have at all, to reach out to a listing agent. I've seen agents get into situations where they made an assumption about something, or just like weren't sure what to do and they didn't reach out to a listing agent, and things have fallen apart. You know, so we just don't like really communicate with that listing agent about anything you see that concerns you. I just walked into the house, just want to let you know there's a purse sitting on the counter. You know, would you like me to stick that under, you know, like just ask them, you know, just involve them so that they know what's going on, so that you're not going to do something that the seller's going to complain about. That doesn't happen. Like the purse on the counter, that was one time I heard something like that. That did happen. That was years ago before I was a coach. But usually that won't happen. But usually you will find things like, you know, okay, I don't know, toilet seat's open, like that happens all the time, or just, you know, I've gotten to a house and like water spilled, or you know what I mean, like I just kind of make sure everything's ready. And the reason I do the upstairs and the basement first is that when I do the main floor, I'm gonna unlock the other doors. So if there's like a back door or something, I'm unlocking that. So I do that one last because then I'm on the correct floor. All right, so I'm getting ready. All right, got all the, this is on your checklist on arrival. Knock and announce yourself if occupied. We did that when we came in, right? Walk the entire home before guests arrive. Yep, turn on and check. Yep, turn on all the lights, open your blinds, make sure the temperature's comfortable, toilet seats down. Security check, unlock all doors, front, back, garage, basement, identify every exit point. If anything feels off or unclear, call the listing agent. To know what, like lights already on, doors already unlocked, music playing, you know, you call the listing agent just to kind of check it. I take note of what lights were on when I got there, because I want to try to return the house like it was, and I might even text the listing agent, hey, all the lights are on upstairs, do you want me to leave those on when I leave? You know, so if you did that, you're avoiding so much trouble in the future just by putting it on the listing agent to be the one responsible. Okay. Absolutely, do not do items, don't light any candles. Okay. You're laughing, it happened. Do not assume doors are locked or unlocked already. That happened too recently. So an agent was doing an open house, and the back door, like one of the doors, was unlocked when he arrived, and he just left it unlocked because it already had been, and the seller got really mad. You know, like he didn't secure it before he left. So every single thing, take note of, communicate with that listing agent. Do not leave areas unchecked, like check everything. No strong scents, you know, don't spray stuff. And then if they gave you instructions, don't deviate without asking, because that's where the seller complains. All right, so you're gonna hang out near the front door. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if there's like a strong odor, like a smoker,
Yeah.
and like that may be disturbing to
Yeah, then I would check with the listing agent before I did something like that.
before you like spray anything.
I would. I'm always gonna check the listing agent. Like, it's better to do that than have somebody complain about you. You know.
I do have a quick
Yeah.
question. What about if they're asking about details on the house, or how old is this appliance, or
Right.
what flooring is it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you don't know, like you won't know how old the appliance is, how old the roof is, all that kind of stuff. So you might see it in your listing. Okay, so that's a good question. Like review the listing first, review the details, because then you'll know some of that stuff. Like typically when something important is pretty new, they'll put it in the listing. Okay, but if they don't, you would text the listing agent and ask. And that's actually really great when somebody asks you a question like that and you don't know the answer, because then, first of all, it gives you an opportunity to be helpful. Say, I'm not sure, let me ask. I'll get right back to you. And then you text the listing agent. Let's say they don't reply. Hey, I never found out how old the roof was. I have texted. I'm trying to find out. I'm going to text you back. You know, so then you're going to get back to them about whatever the question was, because that's going to happen. But it's no big deal. It's actually a good thing if you don't know and you have to follow up with them, because now you have an excuse to reach out to them to let them know, right? Totally fine. Totally fine. All right, so your open house starts. People may come early, okay, especially if they're really interested. So it's good to be set up early. And then you're going to unlock the front door and be hanging out near the front door. Okay, when people come in, I find a place to put the sign-in sheet. So like in this house, there wasn't that much, there wasn't like there's not like a table here or anything like that. So I probably would just use this area right here for my sign-in sheet. You know, this would be a good spot for it. But you want one place that's gonna have your sign-in sheet, it's going to have whatever handouts you have. Your handouts might be like a printout of this listing, might be your flyer. It might be other things that you have about the house. Maybe something from a lender. I love a lender flyer in an open house, right? So if it's a house like this one, I might want a flyer about a bridge loan because this might be somebody's second home, not their first home. If I'm working on a house where it might be somebody's, it's a townhouse, kind of a lower price range, maybe this is a first-time home buyer. Maybe I want to have some things about first-time home buyers there. We're just general lending it though. Like you can really have whatever kind of info you think will be helpful, right, to a buyer, but having a co-branded flyer with a lender can really help. 9 minutes, kind of much. All right, so I'm standing at the front door, people are coming in, right? I welcome them, get them to sign the sign-in sheet, take a look around, and I'm not following them, I'm staying here. They're gonna walk around the house on their own, I can't hover around them, they've gotta have a chance to go around and look at the house all by themselves. Okay. I did bring, this thing is kind of fun. This is in command that you can print, and it's kind of like a little, kind of like, what did you think about the house kind of thing. It's in command, you can print it. Anybody wants them to take them. I like that because it gives them something to do as they're walking around the house. People love to give their feedback. You can, if you have to do those, bring a lot of clipboards so that you can carry it around with them as they go, right? So yeah, so I have that with me too. And then people walk around the open house.
I got it.
You gotta go. All right, yeah, thanks for coming. And then, let's say you're standing around here and they go around the upstairs, they're about to go in the basement. That's a great time. They're kind of walking near you. Hey, what do you think so far? Right, you'll ask questions about what they think. That's also a good time to get into conversation about their motivation. Right, I don't necessarily do that when they first walk in. They kind of give them a chance to kind of look around the house. So either midway through or at the end, I might ask some questions. Hey, so what has you out on a Saturday looking at houses? Asking about motivation, right? And they might say, then they're going to tell you, oh, we need a bigger house. Oh, we need a smaller house. Oh, whatever it is, whatever their reason is, ask a follow-up question about whatever they just said. Whatever they said. You just keep asking questions, and your next question, it always is based on whatever they just told you, right? Because then they feel like you've heard. You know, we want them to feel heard. Right? So then, yeah.
I'm sorry guys, so just before you move further, so the first time they come in, you just say, can you just sign in? That's it? That's all you ask? Or say, hi, how are you? And
Oh,
sign
hi,
in?
how are you?
No
Yeah.
questions in the first. Let them see the
might.
house.
You might. There's not like one black and white way you have to do everything.
Right.
You're gonna play it by ear, right? Like so, you're welcome. Come on in. They might be wanting to talk, and then you're gonna talk.
Okay.
They might be wanting to look at the house. They're gonna look at the house.
Okay.
You're gonna have to kind of just sense, you know, how they're feeling. You know.
Is it appropriate to give business cards?
100%.
Okay, you can. Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That should be there. So on the checklist, bring business cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bring business card. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I have them in the counter. I keep in my pocket so that I can have something to hand out.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm trying to get into conversation, trying to find out about their motivation. I'm not going to ask questions like, how much money do you want to spend? What area? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? None of that. Okay. It's off-putting. It feels transactional.
Yeah.
What makes you think about moving? You know, what would having a bigger backyard do for you? Oh, you said you wanted, a big kitchen like this. Do you like to cook? You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. Build rapport is all we're trying to do. I'm not trying to move on to the transaction. yet. That's too fast. I just met them. Yeah. All right, so then you're at the open house. Maybe you have a lot of people, maybe you don't have a lot of people. If you don't have a lot of people, hopefully you have your laptop with you, and then you could be entering people into command in between people coming through. You know, you could do that if you want. Sometimes I just don't like having my laptop here to have to worry about it, so I don't always do that.
Yeah.
You know, so totally up to you. But you might have downtime. There's some open houses, nobody shows up, yeah.
You also have the app on your phone too.
You do.
But is it not?
Maybe you can,
is it
I just
friendly?
like typing.
Okay, yeah,
I like typing, but also, you know, I'm assigning smart plans, like sometimes I'm just doing all kinds of stuff that are easier on the laptop than a phone. Yeah. But, you know, if you only have a little time, phone's totally fine, you know. But if I have a lot of people, I'm going to then I'll be busy the whole time. If I'm doing something in between clients, I don't do anything that can't be interrupted. So I'm not gonna ever call somebody on my phone. Because if I did that, Murphy's Law, I'm gonna be in the middle of a phone call and somebody's gonna walk in the door. You know, it's gonna happen, right? I don't want that. So I don't mind sending a text. I don't mind, you know, typing things, right? Because I could just stop if I needed to. But I don't ever call. And I also don't ever talk to those buyers about looking at other houses while I'm in the house. Like while I'm in this house, I'm selling this house. Like I'm here to sell this house. But there's nothing at all wrong with me going into my car after the open house and calling somebody. Like I could immediately just get out to that. I just don't do it while I'm in the house. Because I feel like I'm here to represent, you know, I'm helping the seller while I'm in the house.
Plus they can have cameras here too.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. Okay, so then, pulling out my list, during the open house, okay, steer to the front entrance, be present, not hovering, get everybody to sign in, take notes about what they thought about the house, take notes about, you know, what they found out about them, about, you know, their timeline, or, you know, whatever they tell you. You know, just take notes about the people. Watch who enters and exits, just so you're aware kind of like who's in the house and who isn't, you know, just kind of keeping track of things. Highlight key features, right? So you don't have to completely sell the house, but a lot of times people walk in, hey, make sure you check out the huge closet in the main level bedroom, whatever it happens to be. Ask simple questions. What do you think so far? Where are you coming from? Just mini conversations, okay? Before you leave, this is where mistakes happen. This is where people mess up. People forget to lock the door. Like just really, you gotta kind of get in a mindset of not like moving forward with your day, just like really making sure I'm leaving the house like I found it, right? So in general, I try to close the blinds to where they were before, turn on and off lights depending on how they were when I got there. I might text a listing agent though and just say, you know, okay, when I came in, you know, the kitchen light was on, so I've left it. Is that okay? Something like that. You know, just communicate with that listing agent. That will really help them. Return the lights, how you found them. Make sure all the doors are locked, not just the front door, like every single door in the whole house, make sure it's locked. Close it, blinds if they were closed, remove all your directional signs. Final safety check, no candles. Make sure. That happened recently where the seller actually had left the candle burning, but then and it was on during the open house, and the agent left it, and the seller got really angry.
But
Yeah.
the seller left it on there?
Yeah, they did, and it kind of doesn't matter that that's stupid that they got angry, but they were the ones who did it because they got angry. They yelled at the listing agent. Do you know what I mean? And so it was so easily avoided. If that agent had just texted the listing agent and said, hey, when I got here there was a candle on lit, do you want me to leave it lit? If he had done that, nobody would be mad at him. Yeah. So no appliances left on. I don't know why they were big. You just check, no doors left open, no one's still inside. Like you really go through the house, make sure it's empty. Call the listing agent if there's any questions, but then also you always call the listing agent at the end to just tell them how it went. Like they're wondering how the open house go, right? So you tell them how we had this many people through. If there was anybody who had some feedback, you're gonna give them the feedback. You know, people came through, they said the basement was stinky, whatever it happens to be. Maybe there was somebody who really liked the house, tell them. You know, there was a buyer who was with an agent, the agent's name is XYZ. You know, I think they're really interested. You know, so they wanna know the feedback. Yeah, so you always call the listing agent with that, but that's also a good time to just ask any questions about, you know, what you should do when you're leaving the house if you're unsure about anything. So here's an example. Hey, lights were on all over when I arrived. Would you like me to leave them on or turn everything off? Like if you do that, you are covering yourself. That's what we want. We don't want don't assume anything, right? Just ask. So within 30 minutes of leaving, call the listing agent with number of visitors, feedback, interest level, any concerns. Not optional. Like you really, it's gonna make an enormous difference to do that. And then follow up, right? Call everybody who came who doesn't have an agent already. If they have an agent, we just completely don't do a single thing with them. We don't put them in your command, we don't call them, nothing. But if they don't have an agent, everybody, even if it was a neighbor who said, oh, I'm just here to look at the house, you know, I'm just a nosy neighbor. We're gonna hear that a lot. Everybody, call them. You know, this is where your business is gonna come from. Thanks for coming. Ask if they're interested, offer next steps, right? If you don't follow up, somebody else will. Super important because here's what I see happening all the time. Buyers come to an open house, they're not, 6 months until they're ready. If we're not following up with them frequently enough, what happens is they've gone to 15 other open houses in that 6 months, and one of those other agents does follow up, and then they're gone with that agent. But typically, if you follow up, I'm making this number up, but it's close, something like 87%, that might be wrong, of buyers go with the first agent they meet.
That's good.
Yeah, it's not about who has the most experience. They're not interviewing 3 people and checking up on them, blah, blah, blah. No, who did they meet first? A lot of times that's it. And that can be you, as long as you follow up. Yeah, so any big rules when in doubt about anything, call the listing agent. Don't assume or guess anything. Just reach out to the listing agent and find out what they want. Like, let's get it because it's their house, their listing. Questions?
So you said I have the lender's information there, but if somebody's looking to buy a home and they don't have a lender, can you offer that information? You said don't do anything in this house.
So you're gonna have you might have a flyer.
You can offer it.
Sure,
Okay.
sure, absolutely. I just don't want to have like this big long conversation about, setting up an appointment and all that kind of stuff, and then other people are hearing me do it. It just kind of a bad look. It might be something like, hey, this open house is going to go on for about a half hour. Can I call you as soon as that's over? That might be something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you close up here, go into your car, call them. All right, questions? All right, you guys ready to do
I have one more.
Let's hear it.
For example, like the person comes, oh, is this house near a metro station? I work in the city, or what if you don't know if there's a metro station nearby?
Then you would say,
How do you answer that? Can you do that?
you would
You
have
don't
to.
look inexperienced doing that?
Well, you might, if you haven't, you would. Like, you should know if there's a metro station nearby.
Right.
But
Just research the area too. a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Well, I shadow Vicky.
Yeah.
And Vicky's been a real estate agent for less than a year now, and thankfully I'm able to shadow her and went with her on a couple of open
Yeah.
houses. But one good idea she came across, and you tell me if this is
Yeah.
good, but you can have like AI generated or something, but just like a little small map that could be on a register.
Oh, 100%.
And it'll just show coffee shop here,
Yeah.
whatever, car dealership, school.
Yeah.
Map of the area, you mean?
Yeah, and it'll show, like the pin drop.
And they're gonna ask you, is there a
Where-
shopping center close by?
And everything's right there, and then you can tell them, yeah.
Yeah, I love that kind of handout. Love that. There's similar handouts you can do on,
That's actually a good idea.
RPR. If any of you haven't played with RPR, check it out. RPR, our next agent is here, so we're gonna hang it up. Let's wrap